guys, today we are back in the Lamborghini Murcielago LP640 Roadster. This is a 2008 model year. For those who don't know, the LP cars are the second generation of the Murcielago, same with the Gallardo. Overall, an improved transmission, more power, bigger engine. I did do a review a couple years ago on a yellow Murci Roadster, but we have this one currently available. Figured maybe why not review it again? So let's go ahead and take it out for a drive. Oh, it's so hot. Yeah. Yep. More beeping. That has not changed. Okay, wait. Oh, rookie mistake. Honestly, just gonna go straight into sport mode. The Murci's not a car you want to drive in like a default, or that you would drive in like a default setting. If you take the Murci out, it's an experience. Doing it for, most likely, for an occasion. Let's get some of the basics out of the way. We are working with a monstrous 6.5 liter naturally aspirated V12, 631 brake horsepower. You get all-wheel drive. This one, of course, has the 6-speed E-gear single clutch transmission. This being an LP car, though, of course, it is the second generation of the E-gear. And, you know, despite what some people say about the single clutch transmissions, I quite like them. It gives the car a bit of character. More character than it already has. Like, I feel like I'm actually grabbing a gear. It's a little bit more mechanical than the dual clutch. 0 to 60 in about 3.5 seconds. Top speed, 207. Price of this one, $280,000. It's got 11,000 miles. These cars have held pretty well. It seems like the V12 Lambos do tend to hold well. Sitting in the Murcielago, or Murcielago, however you want to say it, it's very Lambo. Seating position's quite odd. You're just off center, kind of leaning inwards a little bit. So the steering wheel is not quite in front of where you're sitting. I forget why. I think it has to do with the way the transmission is positioned, but don't quote me on that. Legroom, not great. My knees are basically hitting the steering wheel. I'm about 6'4". Could you drive this every day? No. The road presence of the V12 Lambos is unmatched, unrivaled. Unless you're talking like a Koenigsegg or like a Pagani, but for under that hypercar price range, the road presence is unmatched in this car. A theatrical experience. There are certain other supercars that you can get in, drive easily, not think much of it. You'll think, oh, this is a very fast car. This is a car that you hop into and it's an experience, like all the way around the entire time. From the looks, from the sound, from the attention that you get from people. Steering is heavier, you know, in the corners. This is not this car's sweet spot. Let's talk about weight for a second, because this is not a light car. It was just shy of 4,000 pounds, about 3,800 pounds, give or take. And even though it feels biblically enormous, you know, she's a big girl, but once you're on the straights, none of that matters, because that is, I think, the best sounding Lamborghini ever made. Incredible sound. Not, you know, psychotically quick like some of the modern exotics, but you don't care. Oh, God. Sorry, the sound effects are probably kind of cringy, but, you know, I can't help it. I don't know if this will make this U-turn. No. Very small steering wheel, but it's a very simplistic cabin. Not a whole lot of buttons. You do have your front lift, which comes in handy. My favorite button is probably the one that controls the bat wings. Now, you don't know what the bat wings are. One of the most dramatic parts about the car. Opens up these rear intakes to let more air into the engine to cool it off. They will come up at certain speeds as well, or when the engine's really hot. The rest of the time they're closed. Well, if you press the button, you can keep them up permanently. Lambo, they know their customers. They know people like stuff like that. I mean, everywhere you go, people are looking. When you see like, you know, some 9-year-old just grinning ear to ear, it's a nice feeling. You know, the ride is not as bad. Not as bad as like some of the V10 cars. Revs to 8,500 RPM. That is immaculate vibes. I love this car. No other way around it. Oh, God. So sick. Space in here in terms of width is actually great. I mean, it's such a wide car, it'd be laughable if there was no horizontal space in here. I do think the Murcielago is probably the prettiest V12 Lambo, maybe the Miura. In terms of like that classic Lambo shape that we know and love, I feel like the Murci is the prettiest. You never see white Murcielagos. Honestly, white wheels would look great on this too. I don't mind the weight because it just sort of, it's the epitome of that Lamborghini experience. It's big, it's shouty, got crazy styling. Honestly, just some of the new cars coming out, and again, this sounds very spoiled because I am. Just, they don't make this kind of sound anymore. The last cars that are making anything close to this sound are sort of on their way out or just announced and they're gonna kind of fizzle out. Half the reason somebody buys an exotic, at least from my experience, is the sound. If it doesn't sound good, that's a big chunk of the experience gone. Just speaks to you. That is beyond exhilarating. In terms of reliability, this is very much an Audi Lambo, even though it's a bit older now, it is still very Audi derived. I don't really hear too much about issues in these cars. I mean, but by supercar standards, Lambos are usually pretty strong. I wouldn't say too many issues. We never see them in the shop. I mean, you don't really see Murcis much anymore anyways, which is also why I quite like these cars. You see the Aventadors pretty often. You don't see Diablos either. Honestly, I would feel cooler pulling up to a car meet or a car show in one of the more old school Lambos, such as this or Diablo, than I would in a newer Lambo. That's just me though. There's a sort of character to it and just rawness and coolness to it. This is sort of the last car before Lambo started really caring about track times and handling and, you know, over just top speed and acceleration. It is the perfect blend of the old school Lambos with that nice Audi touch that is appreciated. Because, you know, while it's fun to imagine that you kind of like the really old school cars, they're kind of fiddly and, you know, they're very quirky in that sense, you have to be able to appreciate the car actually working. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one.